me see. Hold on, everybody. I forgot to plug in my phone, and I don't want it to die. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Okay, so hi, everybody. Let me make sure I'm on. Okay, seems to be working. Let's see if you can hear testing. Okay, seems to be working. All right. Okay, we're just, this is a family. And I tell you, um, we don't have a large staff. We just keep this going. We just keep this going, fighting for justice for Richard because here it is, day 1359, and there's no sign of life. There's no sign of life. But we have breaking news today. So I wanted to come on, make sure that I alert everyone to the fact that something big really happened. And I don't know if the media is going to cover it. We sent it out to about, I don't know, let me just give a roundabout number 100 media. I don't know. Outlets, different media outlets. I don't know who's going to cover it, if any will cover it, but they should cover it because it's huge. It's huge news. And I know that when there is huge news like audits of Fort Bliss, right? Audits of Fort Bliss with weapons trafficking, that something like the Walmart mass shooting happens, right? And I used to question people when they talked about false flags. Um, Not anymore. And when that first came up is when we were in Germany and the girls were attending German school and the Iron Curtain came down and Germany welcomed all of these Germans that had been trapped behind the communist Iron Curtain, the wall, right? And they came in, and um, a big group of them were Christians. They were attending the school our children were attending. I even taught there, and that's when the conversations happened where they absolutely did not trust military. They did not trust their government. And I was kind of shocked about the level of distrust. And here we are. Um, that was all pre 9/11, and I have to tell you, I've learned a lesson. And my distrust for the military leadership, the 44 four-star generals and admirals that are absolutely betraying our country, serving foreign and domestic enemies. And I say that on a day where, the military had to take action because of these drone missile attacks on Israel. And or and over Jordan too, right? And over Jordan. And I just don't trust the narrative. I don't trust the news. I don't trust the narrative. I don't trust what's happening. I really don't. And, these same people that did that 33, 33, 33, 33 with the COVID stuff, these same people with the COVID mandates, the same people that absolutely wanted to disregard any questions about 9/11, these people that push the evolution nonsense on us, um, and over again. I just think the media is mostly propaganda. for the most part. And in our son's case, we came into it with, some skepticism, but a big loyalty and trust in our military. And I have to tell you, the 44 four-star generals truly, and admirals truly, have betrayed us. And truly, there's not a doubt in my mind at this time that they are serving foreign and domestic enemies and not honoring their oath to defend the Constitution. And you see that with Bill Hicks. Um, you see that with many DAs, right? And you see that with Veronica Escobar, and many other officials. But those two clearly, clearly, there is not a doubt in my mind that they are up to no good. Absolutely do not care about their Texas Constitution, which is the safety for the people that they should be serving, but they don't. And so today, there's this big case out there called SB4, where I believe Abbott is being sued and Bill Hicks is being sued, and there's other parties to that case. And why would Bill Hicks be sued? Well, because he is supposed to be the district attorney for the 34th Judicial District of Texas, right? The 34th Judicial District. And um and the problem is that he's not legitimate. He's not holding that office legitimately. Okay? And it seems that you know, Reyes Mata had it right. In El Paso Inc., there is an article where Reyes Mata lays it all out, and it alerted us because Bill Hicks. We have confirmation that Bill Hicks blocked emails from us, and it's not like we don't even write him very often, right? Matter of fact, he should respond to what our inquiry, our concerns, um, and yet he blocked us. And he's supposed to be, uh, identifying criminals, documenting it, and prosecuting it. And in our case, we have lots of criminals, lots of criminals. Lalani Hart's a criminal. Dallas Hart's a criminal. James Courtney Hart is a criminal. Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia is a criminal. Thomas Hoffman is a criminal. And Ernest Christopher Grant is a criminal. Danae Katzen is a criminal. Belen Roach is a criminal. And I can go on and on. There's so many. There's so many. And, he seems to be like, okay, Bob Moore is a criminal. Angela Kachurga is a criminal. Heather Wilson. I mean, I can just go on and on with the criminals. And he's supposed to be identifying them and documenting it and prosecuting it. Oh, Tavita Noose is a criminal. And what about Eddie Nieto? Eddie Nieto. And oh my gosh, there's so many. And Marlon Soto. I don't mean to leave people out, that they're not important. There's just so many. There's so many that are absolute criminal in this. And there should be lots of action going on. And it should never have gotten to this situation. But because this has been going on for quite a while, like Veronica Escobar in 2014, she was the judge that allowed the appointment of someone with a questionable visa, with a questionable forensics history, that is not an American citizen, not that I know of, not that I've, please tell me if he is, but in 2014, when he was appointed, and it was overseen and agreed upon by Veronica Escobar, Veronica Escobar, to the chief medical examiner. That's a judicial office. That's a judicial office. And she allowed that. And what that did is harm every capital murder case that he touches. Every capital murder case that he touches, you're not going to get justice because he's not legitimate. And so because he's a witness that decides what is the cause of death. Is it self-inflicted? Is it an accident, or is it a homicide, right? And what degree? And, so he's a key witness in the whole thing, in every capital murder case. And he's not legitimate. And now every case he touches is botched, including the Walmart mass shooting, including so many murder cases. And that is why you see Bill Hicks coming out trying to do some puff pieces lately, claiming capital murder cases have been, we did so much and they're going to spend their lifetime in prison, because in order, that they're botched any other way. He can't count on the chief medical examiner, Mario Raskin Ortiz. And so he has to go back to 1991. Now this is an assault on our intelligence. This is an assault on the Texas Constitution, which is our safety. Because that Constitution is there for our safety against the tyrants that could pop up in our government. And he's allowed to be illegitimate himself, to be a criminal himself, because what he's done, taking over this role of district attorney, is criminal. It's fraud. And it's fraud on the court. And it's fraud on the federal court as well. Because the federal court depends on the state chief medical examiner, depends on the evidence that is gathered by the district attorney with these cases. And they do some too, but they depend. They work, it's like they don't have their own chief medical examiner. So these two positions are huge. And because they are tampered with, because they are illegitimately being held right now, both of them, there is a rise in very violent crimes. And don't forget Mario Raskin Ortiz, he's from Chihuahua. Seems that he's double dipping. What's going on over there? Because nobody's afraid of him, of his determinations, because they've had 300 plus murders. 300, and I know there's more. I have to check. Since the beginning of the year. That is outrageous. And these are women and children being murdered. Of course, men too. And I love men. Men are being murdered. Children are being murdered. Women are being murdered. And we have in El Paso the very important positions that are illegitimately being held right now. And that's why things are botched. And Loretta Lynn Hewitt said it right, didn't she? Loretta Hewitt said it right. that he's just a political operative and that he's leaving everything in pieces and that he doesn't know up from down when it comes to justice getting things done with these cases. Those aren't her words exactly. That was, you know, reading and I should pull up Reyes Mata's article and read it word for word because I don't want to put words in her mouth, but pretty much she's, uh, you know, she doesn't have kind words to say about Bill Hicks. And I really think I need to send her this amicus notice that we filed today. Yes, you heard me right. This is the breaking news. We filed an amicus notice, an amicus curiae, which means friends of the court. We are friends of the court. And it was in regards to the SB4 case that is going on right now, where Bill Hicks is a defendant, but he's only a defendant because he's supposed to be the district attorney for the 34th district, and he's not. He's not legitimate. And we wanted to make sure, since he didn't tell the court and his lawyer didn't tell the court, you know, that he's not legitimate, that we tell the court that he's not legitimate and we exhibit Reyes Mata's article. So that's the big news that happened today. And, you know, we also mentioned, and we tried to keep it very, very short so that it would be read, right? Um, because it only takes a few words to understand that Bill Hicks is holding that. Well, he's committing a fraud on the people of El Paso, on the DA office, on the courts, on the federal courts. He's committing a fraud and he's perpetuating it. And you know what else he's doing? He's taking money from seizure drug money and paying his lawyer for the SB4 case. Can you believe it? I mean, what he's just so up to no good. I mean, uh, I try to keep this as clean as possible because, you know, we can't get diverted from the goal. And the goal is to get Richard's remains and to hold those that hurt Richard accountable. Which leads to another really important issue that I wanted to raise during this live stream or during the future live streams. And that is that there has been a wide range of tampering in Richard's case. And tampering with video, tampering with audio, tampering with documents, tampering with witnesses. There has been a lot of crimes being committed. And I wanted to say that we are fully aware that audio tapes have been tampered with and spliced and all that, that there's video that was tampered with. We know that witnesses were tampered with. We know that false allegations were created, and fabricated evidence and absolutely fabricated evidence. You know, one comes in mind is Dallas Hart's travel voucher, which I believe is totally fabricated evidence, because Dallas Hart was Richard's platoon leader. Okay. And then there's just so much tampering as far as even in Mexico, when Rob spent a long time at the Attorney General's office there in Juarez for the state of Chihuahua, filling out the missing persons report for Richard there. And that was all tampered with, manipulated. And they took advantage of us not knowing Spanish to do it, which was really lousy. Really, these are cold hearted, hard hearted, hearts of stone people, you know, um, individuals, monsters, I call them, because how can they have any happiness in life? I don't know. They're just so callous, so callous, um, to do something like that. And of course, all the manufacturing that Danae Katzen did. And, very clearly, Danae Katzen is connected to Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. And we know that she did her share of tampering into this case. Yes, tampering into Richard's case. And also tampering with whistleblowers and key witnesses. And she's connected, of course, to Danae Katzen, who absolutely just did a con job on the family of a missing soldier to a missing soldier. Can you believe it? This is how low these people are. This is how low. The very people that have sworn an oath to protect her, to die for her, to die for her safety, to fight in wars for her. She is willing to throw under the bus, create false evidence, lie, just con and play with the heartstrings of the family. Uh, and even promote it on KTSM, right? And KTSM was so in on it, y'all. KTSM was so in on it. David Candelaria, this is not too late for you to come forward, right? And Rosa Maria Valdez's family can come forward. And Danae Katzen's family, that's the same. Okay, they can come forward. And many, many others can come forward. It's not too late because it's getting there. And that's why I wanted to mention this, that, the accountability is coming. The investigations have already started. The protection, the insider protection, the institutional protection is not there anymore. So we've been told. So maybe you know different. Maybe you want to take the chance. But you know what? The stars in their course fought against Sisera. If God's on your side, who can be against you? If you're with the truth, you're going to win, because lies are not sustainable. They look at, for example, look at what Bill Hicks did. And this is very clear, and this is why the lies aren't sustainable, because I don't care how smart you are, and he's not too smart, okay? Because and that's why this all happened. He had to be a recess appointment, because if the legislature in Austin was in session, he would have to be scrutinized if he's the best candidate to be appointed, since he's not duly elected, but that's another story. But that he would have to be scrutinized, that he would have to be interviewed by many Senate members, and his whole file would be looked at. And this is a person that didn't pay his taxes 2 years in a row, that he has these cases, these complaints against him, very serious complaints, that he has conflicts of interest because he was representing Purchase funeral homes, and here he is supposed to be prosecuting the Walmart case when Purchase is a main witness for it. So he has a lot of problems, and all of that would be scrutinized there in the legislature to see if he could be appointed as a district attorney. But what happened is he was a recess appointment, which means he gets an exception. Nobody has to look at his record, right? Nobody. And I think we got to get rid of these recess appointments. I really do. We need to have a quorum. We need to have someone that has oversight, because he was this recess appointment where no one had to look into him. And he is definitely not, he didn't even pass the bar the first time, which is, I'm not saying that is a terrible thing, but you're talking about district attorney for the 34th district. I think there's lots of lawyers out there that are much more clever, that have a cleaner record, that don't have conflicts of interest, that should have gotten that job. Right? But no, he was this recess appointment. And which is, like, okay, so who suggested Bill Hicks? Who recommended Bill Hicks? I'd like to know. Where's the open records of who recommended Bill Hicks? Who recommended, I have that other question in there for Heather Wilson. But, who recommended Bill Hicks? Because what happened is he had this conflict of interest with Purchase Funeral Homes. And he did not sign his statement of officer, which is the anti-bribery form, before he took the oath of office. And I think things were getting a little crazy or whatever. It got away from him, or he couldn't do it as long as he was overseeing things. Maybe he was tying ends up at Purchase Funeral Homes, and he just couldn't sign it with having that kind of conflict of interest, right? And maybe he wasn't paid yet from them, from services rendered. Maybe he was waiting for pay or whatever. So he never signed his anti-bribery. Hello, no. Thank you so much for coming on. And so what did he do? He swore to that office without following the Texas Constitution, without signing the anti-bribery. And I believe that was like on the 21st of December of 2022. And on the 25th, he gets this, I believe it's around the 25th of January, he gets an email from the Secretary of the State. So says, this is all in Reyes Mata's article, by the way, that you can read in El Paso Inc. Reyes Mata's article, and it is named, oh gosh, I have so much stuff here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah. We put this in the amicus brief. See if it's still here. Yeah. Okay, so it is called 1 Year Later, El Paso District Attorney Talks Year of Change, Faces Criticism Amid Resignations. So this is really an important article. ElPasoInc.com, Reyes Mata. And this is what alerted us to all of this. So in this article, he says the Secretary of the State says, look, we've got some open records requests for you, and we don't have those documents, and we're supposed to have those documents. You don't have an statement of officer on record. And so the next day, he sent it. So says this article. But it was backdated to the 11th so he tampered with the timestamp to 11th of January. Okay, maybe because there's a 10-day cushion, I don't know. Or 20-day cushion, like I think 20-day cushion or something. I don't know. Something's going on why he picked that date. I don't know. And it's not clarified in the article. But the problem with that date is that the legislature was in session. So his appointment now is null and void because he did not resubmit his paperwork and go through the interview process with the Senate, with the legislature, to be an in-session appointment. So not only is there a problem with the timestamp, but there's a problem with the session and appointment and the recess appointment. He's not a recess appointment. He is even if you let him get away with, okay, whatever, he has to fill it out. No, this is the district attorney. Everyone knows you need to fill that out. When you're in that position, you need to fill it out. And this is district attorney. This is an important role. This is one of the most powerful roles that anyone can have. And, we're just supposed to be, oh yeah, lottie-dottie about it. No. Think about the Walmart mass shooting victims. Think about these capital murder cases. Think about Richard's capital murder case, because Richard's case is a capital murder case. And we don't have a legitimate district attorney. We have a political operative. So says Loretta Lynn Hewitt, that he is just a political toy, a political, that's all he's in there for. Well, no, thank you. I want a real district attorney. And to find out that he is illegitimate, I mean, the way he's handled himself, there's people that will, for party's sake or whatever, want to be loyal until someone you care about gets murdered, until crime gets out of hand. I think we need to be loyal to the oaths of office and be loyal to the Texas Constitution, no matter what party the person belongs to. Because it's the Constitution, the rule of law, that has the real power. So we were a friend to the court, to the honorable court. And, this is another thing that we have seen happen is, being so frustrated with the system and the institutions that people just don't even want to deal with them. And I understand that frustration. Absolutely understand that frustration. But never in history has there been a government system without problems. That's why we have the Constitution, because it's not innate for people to be honorable, to have integrity. That's not innate. That character has to be developed, and it takes discipline. And so, there has never been a government that didn't have all kinds of problems. But yet our government has a constitution, and a Texas Constitution and division in powers and oversight. And it gives the people rights. And still. And so no matter how bad Bill Hicks is, or, other district attorneys, or this Mario Raskin Ortiz, they are the criminals. They're not the officers. They are the criminals. And they're holding that position hostage. They are committing a fraud. And they're criminals. And they need to be held accountable for their criminal action. It's not the system. It's kind of like the gun. It's not the gun. It's the person that shoots the gun. It's not the Constitution. It's not the rule of law that's the problem. That's not being followed. And clearly, with both cases, they're not being followed. And the SOPs in Richard's case for the barracks, the standard operating procedures, were not being followed. And the NCOs were not doing their job. That's why you had Caleb Smither being in the 5th stage of decomposition in his barracks room, because the NCOs were not doing his job. They weren't doing their job. They're not following SOPs. They're allowing criminality on base. And Thomas Kane, absolutely not doing his job. He needs to be held accountable because there are security breaches, and he admitted it, that allowed a 14-year-old girl to be living in the barracks being pimped out. So it's not the DES position that is corrupt. It's Thomas Kane that's corrupt. It was Jake Jakovich, Shaky Jake Jakovich, that was thinking it was cute to bring girls in during the COVID lockdown. And, clearly there were rules against bringing in party girls during the COVID lockdown, but they were sponsoring it. And Thomas Kane is the one that issued the passes. So, it's they're just getting away with it. And so the crimes get worse and worse. And then you have the crimes like, I would say, Lieutenant General Donna Martin, who, was in charge of CID. And look what happened to her. Look what happened to Veronica Escobar. Not Veronica Escobar, to Vanessa Guillen. Look what happened to Austin Hawk and Enrique Roman Martinez. And, look at what happened to them. Under her, those were all botched. And now they made her IG to, she has to police her own failings. This is the problem. It's not the IG that's the problem. It's the Donna Martin being in the IG that's the problem. So we have kept using the system, and that is why we filed this amicus notice to be a friend of the court, be a friend of the law, be a friend of the Constitution, and say, look, Bill Hicks, we didn't even mention Mario Raskin Ortiz yet, but Bill Hicks is a fraud, and he cannot be a party to the SB4 case. He's not the one. He's not the one. He's a fraud, and he's committing crimes, and he's using drug censure money to fund his legal defense. Wow, that's real sweet. That's real sweet job there. What a louse. What an absolute betrayer of his position. And so that's isn't this the issue with the person who gave the autopsy to? If I remember correctly, it's illegitimate. Yeah, and it says Dr. Ortiz on it. Okay. Uh, then I go to the El Paso. This is the Mexican semafo, right? Um, when I go to the El Paso medical examiner, it's Mario Raskin Ortiz. I mean, what am I? I'm just freaking out because these three autopsies tell me my son was dismembered, had blunt force trauma, and worse, and worse. And we can't get answers. And the district attorney doesn't care. And the generals don't care. And, it's been pretty clear because if they open up Richard's case, which came before the Walmart mass shooting case, it's like, right now, Biden is in big trouble. Whether you're Democrat or Republican, he's in big trouble. And what does that mean? It means that they are going to try to divert the public's attention from this trouble. And because it's a big problem, they're going to do something big, right? And that's why I don't believe anything with this stuff going on with Israel. I believe it. I know it's happening, but I'm just my propaganda censors are just way out there. And, this is in Richard's case. Richard's case came first. There were audits. We have confirmation that they were auditing from Brigadier General David Stewart, from Dirty Marlon Soto, from the Sean Bernabe, the Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe. They were under audit. And we absolutely know from witness testimony, from arrests being made, catching these tactical move storage units going over to Mexico full of ammunition and, all of this weapons trafficking that's going on. It's not just me making it up. It's right there on the border because the driver goes through the wrong port of entry. And I was told nothing gets through that port of entry. They're all working really good. And, and then this happens where, if they would have went through this port of entry, they had an in. Well, was that Donna Sifford? Because Donna Sifford's up to no good, y'all. And she's in charge of that Tonillo port of entry by Clint, which is one of the areas where supposedly evidence and remains are found on Richard, right? So every time Clint is said, it's not a happy moment, a happy second for me. But yeah, she's up to no good. I mean, she was like the my guardian angel. That's what oh, they just make everyone like feel so happy. Guardian angel. Ernest Christopher Hart was a total Ernest Christopher Grant was a total criminal. Is a total criminal. And they're ghosting him. Why are they protecting him? For this Walmart mass shooting. And that's why absolutely the evidence and how they handled Glendon Oakley Jr. and that Glendon Oakley Jr. was found dead in his barracks on April 8th, 2020. This beautiful young man, absolutely beautiful with integrity. When he was speaking to the camera one day after the other, both days, the one thing you saw that was very, very clear was this was a young man with integrity. And he ends up dead. So, yeah, Richard's case would expose, and of course, Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia I believe she's committing fraud in the case. And, here she's sharing a residence with the other fraudster, Danae Katzen. I mean, they're all like fraudsters. Up to no good. Wanting to feed on everybody. And, when you look at their whole history, it's all about fraud. It's all about taking advantage of people. They wanted to look, the baby that was crushed by his mama because his mama was shot and killed and fell on top of him and he broke his bones. He didn't get any money from all of the donations. He didn't get any money, and his daddy was killed. He was left an orphan. And you know how I feel. He didn't get any money, but Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia gets tens of thousands of dollars? How did that happen? And then El Paso Community Foundation, who's in charge of all that distribution, right, is getting investigated for fraud of their distribution. And what happens? Who's investigating? Yvonne Rosales' DA's office. And 2 days later, they have to start talking about how to remove her, and then put in this petition with just the right, Omar Carmona attorney. He's just the right attorney that will do this kind of stuff. And then they get rid of her. And then they do like a recess appointment. And that recess appointment went very, very badly. So it's absolutely the whole timeline, the truth. The stars in their course fought against Sisera. That means so much to me now, and I've been saying it because that's one of my favorite verses of all time. And now I know why. Because you put every star in place, all that truth, and then you can see the bigger picture. And that's what's happening. So, yes, everyone, thank you so much for coming on. We did file the amicus brief, amicus notice today. That is a friend of the court that is dealing with this SB4. And because if they're going to do it in a just way, they need to at least have the legitimate district attorney, and that's not Bill Hicks. So thank you so much. And don't forget, if you are one of the perpetrators, if you tampered with evidence, if you were pressured to tamper with evidence, if you were pressured to be a false witness, in any way harmed these cases, I just want to say, come forward. Come forward, because yeah. We're getting there. Thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing.